Hello and welcome to UZ Report World News Broadcasting with me, Davron Jumayev. According to Speed Test Global Index, residents of Kazakhstan enjoy the fastest mobile internet in the region, taking the 86th place with 27 megabits per second. Kyrgyzstan was placed 93rd with 24 megabits per second. With a speed of 17 megabits per second, Uzbekistan was ranked 124th among 134 countries. Tajikistan went even deeper, being placed 127th. The United Arab Emirates, South Korea and Qatar took top positions in the ranking. Bangladesh and Afghanistan were at the bottom of the list with 11 megabits per second and 8 megabits per second respectively. An International Atomic Energy Agency team of experts has concluded a 12-day mission to Uzbekistan to review its development of infrastructure for a nuclear power program, the organization said in a statement. The integrated nuclear infrastructure review was carried out at the invitation of the Uzbek government. Uzbekistan, a Central Asian country of 33 million people, a major global uranium supplier, is looking to nuclear power as a low-carbon energy source to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and boost electricity generating capacity. In 2017, the country signed an intergovernmental agreement with the Russian Federation to construct two VVER 1200 pressurized water reactors to be commissioned by 2030. In 2019, Uzbekistan initiated the process to select a site for its first nuclear power plant. The team reviewed the status of nuclear infrastructure development using the Phase 2 criteria of the IAEA's milestones approach, which provides detailed guidance across 3 phases of development. The Ministry of Energy of Uzbekistan hosted the mission. The INER team said the country's nuclear power program benefits from strong governmental support and shows a clear commitment to safety, security, and non-proliferation. The team added that Uzbekistan has made significant progress in NPP project development and taken steps to enhance its legal and regulatory framework and strengthen the regulatory body. The team made recommendations and suggestions to assist Uzbekistan in preparing to construct its first NPP. Uzbekistan may benefit from U.S. intention to share millions of COVID-19 vaccine doses with the rest of the world. Javlan Vahabov, the Uzbek ambassador to the United States, met with Lisa Sawyer, special advisor to the U.S. Vice President. The parties touched upon several political issues and the distribution of COVID-19 vaccine.
The meeting addressed the issue of providing Uzbekistan with vaccines against COVID-19 as part of a plan announced by the White House to send about 80 million drugs to other countries by AstraZeneca, Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson. In addition, the sides discussed issues of further deepening cooperation between the two countries and the prospect of a meeting between Senate Speaker Tanzila Narbayeva and the U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris. They have exchanged the views on gender equality and economic empowerment of women, which in fact could be the main subject of discussion between the heads of upper houses of parliaments of the two countries.
International experts have concluded their mission in Karakalpakstan. During April and June this year, they investigated the historical and cultural monuments of the Autonomous Republic. They are now preparing a strategy for inclusion of these monuments in the UNESCO World Heritage List. 3 drones have collected all the data. Experts received materials on 53 sites, filmed over 67,000 aerial photographs and 144 videos. They intend to create detailed 3-dimensional models, while archaeologists, architects and historians' final recommendations are set to help preserve unique objects to include them afterwards in the UNESCO list. The very first Uzbekistan's historical and architectural site, which was included in the UNESCO list, was Ichankala in 1990s, and only afterwards Bukhara in 1993, Shahrizabs in 2000s, and Samarkand in 2001. Following the voting results of the UNWTO Regional Commission for Europe, representatives from Uzbekistan and Hungary were unanimously elected as vice presidents of the 24th session of the UNWTO General Assembly due in Morocco in the 4th quarter of 2021. The Marrakesh event would serve as an opportunity to discuss the future of tourism, the sector hardest hit by the COVID-19 pandemic. Uzbekistan's Minister of Tourism and Sports Aziz Abduhakimov is to represent the Republic in the upcoming event. Over the past 4 years, the Uzbek government has taken a series of measures to boost tourism, intending to receive more than 9 million foreign tourists by 2025, boosting the share of the tourism industry to 5% of gross domestic product, up from 2.3% in 2017, according to the Uzbek State Tourism Committee. The number of road accidents involving children has soared by 25.3% in January-April 2021, according to Statistical Committee of Uzbekistan. The number of children killed in road traffic accidents in the Republic during this period surged by 64.5%. Taking into account this situation, the country's Muslim administration issued a fatwa on traffic safety measures and observance urging Uzbekistan citizens to follow the traffic rules. It states that the driver who has died as a result of exceeding the permitted speed would be considered to have committed suicide. Besides, the fatwa clarifies that the person unable to comply with speed measures must not occupy the driving seat. In addition, driving is not recommended when it threatens road safety or the vehicle is not in working order. Following the recommendations of the Muslim administration in Uzbekistan, drivers must respect each other and communicate in a manner consistent with decency. The moratorium on cutting trees in Uzbekistan does not seem to be effective enough. In 4 months, more than 2,000 cases of illegal felling of trees were revealed in the country. The damage to the plant world amounted to almost $470,000. At the recent briefing organized by the Agency of Mass Communication, it was reported that some $236,000 worth of fine was imposed on violators in connection with the illegal cutting down of over 1,300 valuable trees. Local officials were responsible for 113 cases of violations. During the period of the moratorium, 5,609 individuals and legal entities requested to cut down more than 258,000 bushes of trees and shrubs. The flow of migrants from Uzbekistan to Russia has plummeted by 42%, as both countries have been forced to close borders amid the coronavirus pandemic. As of May the 1st, the number of foreign migrants in Russia stood at 66 million people. Before, the majority of visitors to Russia were citizens of the CIS countries. Their share stood at 86%, but in 2020, this number decreased by 39%. The number of citizens from EU countries decreased by 3 times year-on-year. Coronavirus cases rose in number in Uzbekistan midweek, comprising 300 new ones, with 200 more registered on Thursday. 2 patients died. The total number reached 101,198. The capital city is still at the top in the number of cases. The country started vaccinations on the 3rd dose of coronavirus vaccine June the 1st. So far, more than 1.3 million people have been vaccinated in the country. The recovery rate is 96%.
India has ordered its first batch of an unapproved COVID-19 vaccine, just a day after criticism from the Supreme Court over its bungled vaccine rollout. The government is buying 300 million vaccine doses from an Indian company called Biological E, putting down an advance of $205.6 million. The shot is still going through Phase 3 clinical trials. The Health Ministry says the deal with Biological E is part of a wider effort to encourage local manufacturers in research and development. Millions of people have been left vulnerable in India's devastating second wave of the virus. Almost 338,000 people have died, and only 4.7% of the adult population of 950 million have been given 2 vaccine doses. India is already inoculating its people with AstraZeneca and Covaxin shots, and it's set to commercially launch Russia's Sputnik V later this month. But supplies are running low after the government opened vaccines to all adults last month. Some vaccination centres have had to close down, prompting Supreme Court criticism over a lack of planning. The government said this week it could have as many as 10 million doses each day in July and August, up from just under 3 million now.
In the wake of recent supply chain disrupting cyber attacks, a senior U.S. Justice Department official told Reuters exclusively that the DOJ is elevating investigations of ransomware attacks to a similar priority as terrorism. amid mounting damage caused by cyber criminals. Internal guidance sent on Thursday to U.S. attorneys' offices across the country said information about ransomware investigations in the field should be centrally coordinated with a recently created task force in Washington. Overseeing that task force is the DOJ's Principal Associate Deputy Attorney General, John Carlin, who said the new process will, quote, ensure we track all ransomware cases regardless of where it may be referred in this country. The new DOJ guidance specifically refers to the Colonial Pipeline cyber attack as an example of the, quote, growing threat that ransomware and digital extortion pose to the nation. Last month, a cyber criminal group known as DarkSide, which U.S. authorities said is based in Russia, attacked Colonial Pipeline, locking its systems and causing a shutdown that lasted several days, which led to a spike in gas prices and panic buying in the U.S. Southeast. The company decided to pay the hackers nearly $5 million to regain access to its systems. U.S. officials said the Justice Department's decision to push ransomware into this special process illustrates how the issue is being prioritized.
The president has launched a rapid strategic review to address the increased threat of ransomware.
On Wednesday, White House spokeswoman Jen Psaki said President Joe Biden had initiated a review of the threat posed by ransomware attacks and said he will discuss the issue of harboring such hackers with Russian President Vladimir Putin when they meet later this month.
Amazon is testing its frontline staff in Britain for coronavirus variants. It will then feed the data to public health officials, including in hotspots where a strain first found in India is spreading fast. The retail giant opened testing labs in the UK and the US last year to provide voluntary testing for staff, and is now expanding its capabilities to test for variants in Britain. Aided by a rapid vaccine rollout, the UK is on the verge of reopening its economy after months of lockdowns. But the variant first found in India, known as Delta, has spread, including in areas where Amazon has its lab and some fulfillment centres. The company told Reuters it was open to offering the same service in the US and did not rule out making its testing programme available to the UK public in future. Amazon's testing is available to around 30,000 frontline staff in Britain, working in warehouses and logistics departments.
Our overarching aim is to get as many safe and effective vaccines to as many people as fast as possible. It's as simple as that.
The White House on Thursday laid out a plan for the U.S. to share 25 million surplus COVID-19 vaccine doses with the world as U.S. President Biden comes under pressure globally to share more shots.
But perhaps most important, this is just the right thing to do.
During a White House COVID-19 briefing, U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said at least 75%, or nearly 19 million doses, would be shared through the global COVAX sharing program, and at least another 25% would be shared with countries experiencing surges and those in crisis.
We're sharing them in a wide range of countries within Latin America and the Caribbean, South and Southeast Asia, and across Africa in coordination with the African Union. This includes prioritizing our neighbors here in our hemisphere. And as the president has said, the United States will not use its vaccines to secure favors from other countries.
The White House on Thursday also said it would lift some restrictions to allow other countries to more easily buy U.S.-made supplies for vaccine production.
We're asking the American people to help.
For months, the White House has remained focused on getting Americans vaccinated after the coronavirus killed more than 500,000 people in the U.S. within the last year. But the president has promised that the United States would become a supplier to other countries and pledged to send abroad at least 20 million doses of the Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson vaccines on top of 60 million AstraZeneca doses he had already planned to give to other countries, making his goal of getting 80 million doses distributed by the end of June internationally.
Long sought-after changes are coming to Twitter, but you'll have to pay for them. Twitter on Thursday announced Twitter Blue, its first subscription product, which will let paying users edit tweets after hitting the tweet button. It's being rolled out initially in Australia for about $3.50 a month, and in Canada for less than that, with more countries to follow. The service will cost $2.99 in the U.S., according to app information in the Apple App Store. Twitter, however, did not provide details on when Twitter Blue will go live in the U.S. So what do you get for the price? The monthly fee allows users to set a timer of up to 30 seconds on their tweets once sent, giving time to click an undo button and edit tweets before it officially hits the Twitter timeline. In addition, users can organize their saved tweets into bookmark folders. There is also something called Reader Mode that will allow users to more easily read through long threads of multiple tweets. The launch of Twitter's first subscription service is a big step for the social media company. It is trying to lock in recurring revenues and become less reliant on its core source of sales, advertising dollars. Shares of Twitter were up on Thursday and have risen about 8% so far this year.
Could Bitcoin and solar energy be each other's saviors? When concerns were raised over the environmental impact of Bitcoin mining, the value of the world's biggest cryptocurrency took a big hit, down 30% in May. Tesla CEO Elon Musk said the company will no longer accept Bitcoin, and there are concerns others will follow suit. But a switch to renewable energy for Bitcoin mining could turn its fortunes around, and that of the solar industry. That's an opinion voiced by star fund manager Cathie Wood, one of Wall Street's most noted cryptocurrency bulls. The ARK Invest CEO said that Bitcoin miners switching to renewables will encourage an acceleration in the adoption of renewables. This could make the solar industry more attractive. Solar stocks have been badly underperforming on the broad stock market after rallying last year. ARK does not currently invest in solar stocks because, according to Wood, it is not clear that the industry could be profitable within 5 years without subsidies. Wood has said that she expects Bitcoin to eventually reach $500,000, and ARK has hired an Ether miner on its analyst team as part of an expanding focus on cryptocurrencies. She's not alone in her thinking. Reuters interviewed more than a dozen crypto specialists. They said that Tesla could itself take an active role in helping make Bitcoin greener by investing in new projects aimed at boosting the use of renewable energy in mining.
Tech stocks dragged the S&P 500 and NASDAQ lower Thursday as strong economic data heightened fears about inflation. Sparking those concerns, jobless claims and private payrolls data were better than economists expected, and a gauge of service sector activity rose to a record high. Investors were also concerned that the Federal Reserve would ease support after the central bank this week said it will begin to unwind its corporate bond holdings. That offset relief over reports that President Joe Biden offered to scrap his proposed corporate tax hike. Crossmark Global Investments chief market strategist Victoria Fernandez, who sees inflation as temporary, is optimistic about the outlook for the markets.
You have consumption still going strong. You have consumers where their household balance sheets for many consumers are actually better now than they were before the pandemic. So they're sitting on a large chunk of savings right now. They've got momentum going. People are going back to work, so they're going to start getting paychecks again.
The Dow ended nearly flat. The S&P 500 shed 1/3%, and the NASDAQ lost 1%. General Motors shares were the second biggest mover on the S&P 500, rising 6%. The automaker said that its first-half profits would be significantly better than previously forecast. Meanwhile, theater chain AMC stock got whipsawed. After nearly doubling Wednesday, shares tanked nearly 40% Thursday morning before rebounding to end with a 20% loss. The company said it completed a share offering it announced earlier in the day.
These were the top stories for today. Stay safe and goodbye.